America. These images and experiences journeyed back with him. He was only a boy, but he had loved and appreciated what he had seen. Perhaps even then, he had begun to dream of a time and a place and a way in which he could somehow bring all the wonderful, mysterious worlds he had seen together and build something out of them that was his very own. Almost 50 years passed from the time William Randolph Hearst made that first trip to Europe and the time when he roamed the hills of St. Simeon and began to imagine what he might build there. But within that span of time, a lot of building had already taken place. Not necessarily that which is accomplished with brick and wood and mortar, but building just the same. By 1919, he had already built a newspaper and publishing empire that was without equal anywhere in the world. He had experienced what it was like to build a political career, serving as providing film coverage of the world's great news-making events. And he built an impressive collection of tapestries, armor, paintings, ancient sculptures, a passion that was born way back on that first trip to Europe with his mother. In other words, at the age when most people begin to think of slowing down, for him the ultimate building experience he had longed for was just beginning. The dream of creating his castle on a hill. Now that's simple enough to say, but it was quite another thing altogether to accomplish. This is what the mountain looked like before he started to build. Steep and rocky slopes and deep ravines. It was hard enough just to camp on it, let alone to build what he had in mind. The site he finally chose was a 123-acre spot, not far from where he used to camp when he was a boy. He was now face to face with the challenge. Most experts told him to forget the idea, told him it couldn't be done. He might have been tempted to believe them had it not been for a 47-year-old architect named Julia Morgan. She was a figure carved out of the hillside. It was clear from the very beginning that this shy, brilliant woman had made Hearst's dream her dream as well. For most architects, the location chosen to build would have been seen as an obstacle so daunting as to be impossible. But Miss Morgan saw it as a vital ingredient to the creation. But this is how she looked at everything in her life. It didn't matter whether it was becoming the first woman to earn a degree in a field dominated by men at the most prestigious design school in France, or the demand of designing and building more than 700 diverse projects. She met all these challenges with grace, patience, and hard work. That part of her she could only have guessed at before they started. To begin with, every structure had to be formed of reinforced concrete to protect against earthquakes. But that's all fine and good. But that meant that when a wall needed to be moved or room changed, it wasn't just a matter of pulling down wood framing to do it. They had to tear down the walls of a castle. Living trees were often moved from one place to another in concrete containers weighing more than 600 tons, taking weeks to accomplish, and at a cost of thousands of dollars. Hundreds of others were hauled up the mountain and planted in places Hearst thought were too barren. When the vision expanded, the pool had to expand with it. In the end, it was built, torn out, and rebuilt 2 more times before Hearst was finally satisfied with it. All this required a full-time army to say it was the happiest he'd ever been in his life. While keeping watch over the construction, he was also enjoying the rugged pleasures of the ranch again. And he was building and creating again. Never mind the frustrating changes. They were slowly transforming the hilltop into what he and Miss Morgan had envisioned and were determined to see become a reality. A vision that had drawn its inspiration from a particular type of architecture, one they had seen in Spain. It was simple and classic and timeless. Later, among the ruins of ancient Rome and Greece, they found their inspiration for their final creation of the Neptune pool. Pools that connect one level to another have the distinct feel that makes us think of the Mediterranean. The castle stairways mirror the feeling of those Hearst saw in Italy and southern Spain. The towers of the main house were patterned after a particular church tower in a small Spanish town. But the essence of the design for the towers can be seen in hundreds of cities and villages. These details were not lost on Hearst and Miss Morgan, and you can see the care and thought they gave to those finishing elements of the castle. Compromising here and there, but always focusing on quality. Exciting and magical it must have been for a young actor or actress, making a first trip to the castle at the invitation of Mr. Hearst.
Dear Mom, what if I told you I found a better place to swim than the old pond on the North Field back home? You never could have convinced me there was such a place, not in a million years. Or, not until last weekend at least. I've made a couple of tries at flowery description, but they don't even come close. Best way to think of it is to imagine what a Roman emperor's pool would be like. Beats anything I've seen in Hollywood. It's part of the estate at San Simeon, built by Mr. William Randolph Hearst. And if you can believe this as well, I was invited to spend the weekend as one of his guests. almost couldn't believe it myself when I saw who I kept bumping into all weekend long. Do these names sound familiar? Clark Gable, Carol Lombard, Cary Grant, Claudette Colbert, Charlie Chaplin. On the bed in my bedroom. Even places like the billiard room are filled with some of the most amazing things I've ever seen. Anyway, you learn right away that Mr. Hearst wants his guests up and around and doing something. None of this sleeping in late and breakfast in bed business. Somebody was always dashing across the main courtyard for a game of tennis. Hearst's private zoo. And I'm not talking about pigs and chickens and ducks. Some of us braver guests set out one morning on a bone-crushing horseback ride over the mountains, led by Mr. Hearst himself. At the end of the trail, the tenderfoots made a beeline to take a soak in a hot tub. And not just any old run-of-the-mill bathroom. After lunch one day, all the guests were suddenly informed that Mr. Hearst would like to see a play presented by all of us. Every night, dinner is served in the main house. Casa Grande, it's called. Everyone gathers in this huge, wonderful sitting room. And then, suddenly, Mr. Hearst enters from his secret doorway and leads everyone into the great dining hall. I sat just 2 seats away from Mr. Hearst. I heard that the longer you stay, the further away you sit. A good lesson in overstaying your welcome, I suppose. Dinner time seems to be the most satisfying part of the day for Mr. Hearst. Talking with everyone about their day, making sure we've all had a great time. An amazing attitude for someone who appears to have everything, don't you think? Why should he care? He wouldn't have to share any of this with anybody. Anyway, back to the grind of real life. I have a new script to memorize tomorrow.
Sorry, Esther. Probably no guest ever came away without feeling that they had experienced something truly extraordinary, that they had been part of a dream William Randolph Hearst had had since he was a 10-year-old boy touring with his mother. Hedda Hopper, the famous Hollywood columnist, once said, "Never has anything like the castle been built before, and never will anything like it be built again." History had on others, learned from his parents, learned from his creative partnership with Julia Morgan. When you look up at this enchanted castle on the hill, remember that it represents the part of human nature that doesn't look back and think about what might have been, but looks forward and thinks about what might be. May it serve as an inspiration for all of us to look forward, to follow our hearts, and build our dreams into reality.